Hello everyone and welcome to a new video on the channel. I am Adam Ferns and this is Beast Quest Beast of You Specials Part 4. We're now going into the double digits of specials reviewed on this channel. And we got a rather good, I guess, batch of beasts here. Them being Feroc the Iron Soldier, Victor the Deadly Archer, and Anaret the First Beast. Now, all these beasts are good in their own way. With each of these attributes, one is superior in each one. But I wasn't, as a whole, a massive fan of them. They're all okay beasts, but they're not beasts that I like. Well, not like a lot, but they're just okay. So we're going to start things off with the first one, Feroc the Iron Soldier. Design for Feroc is an 8 out of 10. It is just very humanoid, but it's a soldier or a knight completely made of iron, shrouded in fire. That is pretty much all he is. Abilities are an 8 out of 10. The more fire it gets hit with, the stronger it becomes, as well as the more angry it gets, the stronger it becomes. Injuring someone can cause them to become shrouded into a iron armor, becoming one of his servants, which Lucas called very well actually, the Iron Legion, which I'll probably call that as well. And there was another ability here, but I can't remember what it. Oh yeah, really strong. That's pretty much it. Yeah, and a sword, but that can create fireballs and throw it as well. But that's it. Not a lot, and some were okay, just not overly intriguing. Fight is an 8 out of 10. Now, it had an entire legion of his servants against pretty much all of the city, plus himself as well, where the castle started to come down, bits of it was destroyed, and Feroc fell through a wall of the armory into a moat where he drowned. Which does sound good on paper, but in my opinion, the way it was presented, I wasn't really too intrigued with it actually. But the total for Feroc is 24 out of 30. It's a good design, but I wasn't really too intrigued with the fights. I'm not sure why, it just felt like something was missing. And the abilities are good, but there's only 2 that stand out, and the others are either seen before or not interesting. But that doesn't change the fact it is a good beast. Lucas loves this book, and I need to agree with him on the story perspective, because on the story perspective it's quite good, but on a beast perspective, not the biggest fan of it. But it got a good score, probably got the average score, maybe over that average score, but okay. Moving on, we got Victor the Deadly Archer. Now, design for Victor is an 8 out of 10. Same with Feroc, it's just humanoid, but he is a horse. The horse is made of bones, and he's... Oh god, what was it? Yeah, I think that what gave him the slight boost was the horse and his armour that he has. But that's it for design. Abilities is an 8 out of 10. He has a sword, a bow, his horse, I'm going to say is an ability as well. And he has these little spikes on his hand, which he can use to impale his victims when it comes to hand-to-hand combat. Which I found kind of intriguing, really. I liked that. And the fight was an 8 out of 10. for the fight with Victor, it was kind of a basic fight because it had that generic sword clashes with swords with showers of sparks everywhere. But it made it. But even though that was kind of generic, it seemed interesting, really, in my opinion. That fight seemed really interesting to me, even though it had a basic sound to it. It got written to make look interesting, and then it came to where Victor yielded, and when Tom offered his life, like save his life, Victor was evil to the very end, where he went on to say if he's going to die, he's going to take Tom with him, which he failed to do, but it shows that Victor was purely evil, which obviously he was, and that will be the last we'll see of him. He got buried with his horse, though, so that's something, I guess. Personally, in my opinion, the weakest attribute for Victor is the design. I was contemplating on whether to give him a 7 or 8 with design, but I ended up choosing 8 because of his horse. Same with Ferrock and the fight. I was tempted to give it a 7, but I chose to give it an 8. And finally, we have total for Victor is 24 out of 30. It's a good beast overall. The abilities are good, and the basic fight, which as I said does sound basic and look basic, it made it sound great. From how it was written, it made it sound really good. Moving on to the final beast of this part of this section of Beasts of Use, we have Anaret, the First Beast. Now this one I was looking forward to reading ever since I got this in the post, because this one looks very intriguing, and with that, the design is a 9 out of 10. It's the only one in this batch of beasts which isn't humanoid looking, which is actually really good. And I think I like the multitude of colours with its scales and all that. Abilities for Anaret is an 8 out of 10. It is insanely strong, very sharp claws and teeth, and a tail can be used as a whip. And I'm gonna say projectile proof scales, because that's what most beasts are with their scales, projectile proof. From arrows, anyway. And the fight was also an 8 out of 10. This fight was built up to be the most interesting fight out of all 3 of these, but it wasn't. It was a bit disappointing in my opinion. This fight had Anaret, Sampaio and Kenta versus Tom, Alina, Wilfred, the Beastkeeper, Daltek, Ravkor, Vizlak, Tykron and Falrar. All of them against Anaret, Sampaio and Kenta, and it was disappointing. Now, I think the thing that I didn't like the most is that Ravkor got a bit carried away, but I get he's a young beast and he is kind of new with this whole battle thing, so yeah, I understand. Same with Vizlak. But I think it's the fact that Anaret made very quick work of them, made it kind of boring in my opinion, and the fact that Anaret would have killed them if Tom didn't stop Kenta. So that's saying something, I guess. Which does show how strong Anaret is. It was said multiple times throughout the book that Anaret is the strongest of all beasts. But proving that by having Anaret fight 4 beasts that are training to be guardians, 6 beasts training guardians, because I forgot about Vedra and Crymon. I don't think that's a good way of putting it though, because like I said, they're all young, inexperienced beasts, whereas this one is old and is experienced, meaning she would easily destroy those 6, which is what she did. But apart from that though, 25 out of 30 is the total. Best beast in the batch, honestly. But the abilities were basic and the fight was a bit disappointing. Now, I said with each of the books here, each beast excelled in one attribute. Ferox excelled in the abilities, Victor in the fight, and Anaret in the design. That's where they all excelled to me. Anyway, moving on. The totals for design is 25 out of 30. Great designs all around, and Anaret has a great design for its title. With Anaret being the first beast, I think this is a great design for the first beast to ever be created. Abilities is 24 out of 30. It's a good batch of abilities, but they're either expected or not really intriguing. There were some unique abilities here and there, especially on Ferox and a bit on Victor, but none of which are gonna save it, really. Like, if Ferox didn't have those two interesting abilities and Victor didn't have those little spiny hands thing, they would have got a 6 or 7 for their abilities. And the fights was 24 out of 30. A great batch of fights, but I wasn't overly impressed by any of them. Victor's is the best, but Anaret should have been the best. If anything, Victor's fight should have been the worst, but no, that one was actually the best. Ferox's fight, as I said, had the Iron Legion and himself against Avantia as a city. But it's just a bunch of cluster here, there, everywhere, and I wasn't really a big fan of it. I'm aware that another book, I think it was Carnivora, had a similar fight, which was kind of cluster here, there, and everywhere, but I loved it. I think of 8 for Ferox on fight is decently okay. Like, this is my opinion after all, so it's allowed to be different. Victor's fight should have been the worst, but was the best, with the fight taking place above ground, then going underground. And Anaret's fight, as I said multiple times, disappointing, and I would prefer to see other beasts that are experienced to go against Anaret, instead of just inexperienced beasts. The grand total is 73 out of 90. Compared to other reviews, it's a bad score, being the second lowest. But even though they didn't do great in Beast Review, doesn't make them bad stories. I was planning to upload this when I finished Anaret, but that was actually, I finished it yesterday, and I finished it yesterday and I had to go. So it was literally read, done, go. What else do I add on? Yeah, they're not bad stories. I highly suggest you go to Lucas Screen for the book reviews, so then you can hear his thoughts and opinion on these 3 beasts. He only uploaded Ferox at the moment, which he enjoyed a lot. He said in the message to me, he also said it in his review of it, it's a very good book. Okay, I guess. Okay, so he enjoyed it, that's something. Yeah. I'm actually curious to know what his opinion is on Victor and Anaret, though. I think he's going to like Anaret and Victor. Like, these are a good batch of beasts, just disappointing on Beast Review, really. Now let's get into the ranking. Okay, my least favourite out of these, this is on Beast perspective. My least favourite is Ferox the Iron Soldier. Now, even though I said it excels at abilities, which is kind of an important attribute when it comes to Battle of the Beasts, his fight and design, I think, is just not overly impressive. The fight was okay, but the design is easily the worst attribute to it. But abilities are good, and I can see how it can be used in Battle of the Beasts. I have a sneaky idea for this one and a future special for one of their abilities, as they're kind of similar. I'll explain that in another beast review. But other than that, I think Ferox, as of these three beasts, will survive the longest in Battle of the Beast specials. But other than that, Ferox is still my least favourite out of those three, because its design is rather basic. Next is Viktor the Deadly Archer. Now the fight for Viktor, as I said many times, sounds basic when written on paper, but is really good. I liked it. The abilities are okay. I don't know whether I'll add Viktor's horse to the Battle of the Beasts tournament specials, but if I do, then happy days for Viktor. If I don't, shouldn't make that much of a difference. Viktor's occupation is hunting beasts, so he stands a good chance. But if he went against Ferox, his arrows won't hit Ferox. They will hit him, but they won't impale him. But Viktor as a beast, I find more intriguing than Ferox, as Viktor can have more abilities that we do not know about. Moving on to the final one, the best one of this batch, and unsurprisingly, it's Anaret. Anaret, in my opinion, is a really good beast and a great special, actually. The story is good, the beast a bit disappointing, but the design is great, the abilities are expected, and the fight was disappointing. Design is obviously the part where it excels at, and the story, I think, is the best one out of these three. Which makes it my favourite out of those three. Putting them in a ranking with the other specials, none of them are the best. But also none of them are the worst though. I've reviewed better and worse specials. These three just kind of fit in the middle. As just a summarised statement of them, I'm not impressed. I'm not impressed, but I'm not disappointed. I'm just neutral on them, because they're not bad, they're not good, they're just okay. And that's a shame, because I was really looking forward to Anaret, thinking, "Oh, this is going to be interesting." I really want to see it be one of the best books ever. No, the story-wise, I hope it does good, but I'm not really good when it comes to book reviews. I'm only good when it comes to beast reviews. I hope it does good with book reviews. Same with Viktor as well. Anyway, that is all for this time. If you like what you saw, leave a like, leave a comment, don't forget to subscribe, press that notification bell down the corner below, and I'll see you next time.